This is Shayna Hubers, a 21-year-old student on trial for murder in Highland Heights, Kentucky. On the 12th of October 2012, Shayna shot her on-and-off boyfriend Ryan Poston 6 times, including one in the face. The 29-year-old attorney was found dead in his living room after Shayna called 911, claiming self-defense.
I don't have any serious injury that I could have had.
Right.
And I shot him in self-defense because he's done stuff before where I've hit my head on a headboard and could have died.
But what made this case truly chilling wasn't just the brutality of the crime. It was what investigators found out about Shayna's behavior after pulling the trigger. When police arrived at the scene, they found Ryan's handgun and 6 shell casings scattered across the floor. The autopsy revealed that Ryan had been shot once while sitting, then multiple times after falling, completely inconsistent with self-defense. But the real bombshell came when detectives interviewed Shayna at the police station. In a shocking display of callousness, she was caught on camera dancing, twirling, and singing Amazing Grace after learning of Ryan's death.
I did. Yes, I did.
But most disturbing of all was what Shayna said during her police interview.
Very vain. One of our last conversations we had that was good was that he wants my best friend who's a dentist to do his veneers and wants to get a nose job. Just that kind of person. And I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job. He wanted it.
When asked about shooting Ryan in the face, she callously remarked,
"I gave him the nose job he always wanted."
During trial, the prosecution argued that Shayna killed Ryan in a jealous rage after learning he had a date scheduled with Miss Ohio USA, Audrey Bolt, that same night.
On again, off again. Obsessive relationship, replete with jealousy and deceit.
In April 2015, Shayna was convicted of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. However, her conviction was overturned in 2016 due to a juror's undisclosed criminal history. The impact on Ryan's family was devastating. His father, Jay Poston, had this to say about losing his son.
It is daunting to know that I've got another 30 or 40 years on this earth, God willing. And I'll have another 35 or 40 Christmases without my son. I had my grandchildren stolen from me. I will never hold my grandchildren. She has decimated my life and many other lives. Ryan had a heart of gold. His goodness literally got him killed. His kindness got him killed.
On the other hand, Shayna's defense team claimed she suffered from PTSD and borderline personality disorder, arguing she acted in self-defense against an abusive partner.
You'll hear terms like borderline personality, post-traumatic stress disorder, psychological outcomes, and how those are expressed in her experience and behavior.
In August 2018, during her retrial, Shayna was convicted of murder once again, and she was sentenced to life in prison, leaving her breaking into tears.
And do you have the verdict form?
Yes.
Would you please give it to the bailiff? Thank you. We, the jury, fix the defendant, Shayna Hubers' punishment for the offense of murder at life imprisonment.
Shayna Hubers shot her boyfriend 6 times in his own home. But now how does this compare to a mother storing the bodies of her kids in a freezer for 2 years? This is Michelle Blair, a 36-year-old Detroit mother on trial for first-degree murder and torture of her own children.
Everybody want to know, yes, I did kill her!
On March 24th, 2015, an eviction crew entered Blair's apartment in a housing complex to remove her belongings. What they discovered in a deep freezer would shock the entire nation. The bodies of 13-year-old Stoney Blair and 9-year-old Stephen Berry, wrapped and frozen, had been stored there for years. But what made this case truly horrifying wasn't just the discovery of the bodies, but what investigators learned about how these children died. When police questioned Blair, she immediately confessed to the murders, showing no remorse whatsoever.
I mean, what did you do? You punched him?
Basically everywhere.
I choked him. With your hands? Yes.
She claims she killed the children because she believed they had sexually abused their younger siblings, allegations that prosecutors found no evidence to support.
And after he told me, so I had to keep his face, and I said, anybody do that to you? And he said, no. And he put his head down and he said, yes. I said, who the f-? You know what I mean? He was upstairs. So I went upstairs with and I asked him, was you your brother or your effing brother? Was you your brother? And so you asked somebody did that to him?
Yes. So I'm like, why are you playing like that? I told him that's nasty as hell. Why are you playing with that? I said, did somebody do that to you first? He said no. And he had his head on and he said yes. And I asked him who, and he said.
But most disturbing of all was Blair's complete lack of remorse during her court proceedings.
I'm already saying that I did. I'm freely giving myself and accepting life in prison. My son is worth that to me. So what I don't understand is, from what I heard today, why the prosecutors are dragging their feet. I'm already giving myself, she's like, hey, I did this, what's the problem?
She also repeatedly interrupted the judge, screaming, "I don't feel no remorse for the death of those demons, and I would do it again."
You! Everybody want to know? Yes, I did kill her!
Medical examiner Dr. Carl Schmidt described the horrific details of the murders and had this to say.
Both had been slapped in the face. Both of them had chipped teeth, and both of them had actual tears in the mucous membrane of the inner aspect of the lip. And actually, the entire scalp was suffused with hemorrhage, which meant that she had received numerous impacts. When we see patterns, burn patterns like this, it means that there was some kind of object with 4 parallel lines, which left the brand. It's like branding.
In court, Blair confessed and pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and felony murder charges.
I'm already saying that I did. I'm freely giving myself and accepting life in prison. My son is worth that to me. So what I don't understand is, from what I heard today, why the prosecutors are dragging their feet. I'm already giving myself, she's like, hey, I did this, what's the problem?
The impact on the fathers of these children was devastating. Stephen Barry Sr. had this to say in court.
I didn't speak to him at all after my incarceration because I was told that he was mad at me for not contacting him or, being there.
Judge Dana Hathaway had this to say.
One thing that strikes me as the greatest tragedy here is that they will never know what a life is like without experiencing fearing their mother. They will never know the joy of what could have been in their life without having you in it. They lived in terrible fear of you. And I find that just so sad in this case.
And then she delivered this sentence.
After all is said and done, you imposed the death penalty on your own children.
I did.
And you readily admit it, and you want to take responsibility of it. You're therefore sentenced to the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, meaning, of course, that you will never get out.
Blair continued her defiant behavior by waiving her right to appeal and refusing to sign the paperwork. Blair tortured and murdered her own children in their home over the course of months. Now, how does this compare to killing someone over something as trivial as a hair weave? This is Shelby Isaac, a 19-year-old high school senior on trial for double murder and reckless homicide in Memphis, Tennessee. On January 22, 2016, Shelby met 22-year-old Eddie Tate and his pregnant girlfriend, Edwina Thomas, in the parking lot of Sycamore Lake Apartments. Shelby had purchased hair extensions from Tate the day before and demanded a refund. What happened next turned deadly. According to prosecutors, Shelby pulled out a handgun and opened fire. Tate died on the spot inside his green Honda. Edwina, though wounded, managed to stumble into a nearby apartment before collapsing. She later died at the hospital, along with her unborn child. At first, Shelby denied everything, but investigators collected mounting evidence: a bloody sweatshirt with Tate's DNA, a pair of boots that matched witness descriptions, and her fingerprint inside the car. But the real breakthrough came when her getaway driver, Victoria Say, changed her story. Say told the police that Shelby had the gun, fired the shots, and discarded her blood-soaked clothes at a friend's house. Armed with this evidence, police arrested both women within hours. During the trial, victim impact statements brought the courtroom to silence. Eddie's mother, Gloria Tate, told the court,
I go to the gravesite every week to talk to my child.
When the guilty verdict was read, Shelby couldn't take it, and this happened.
The verdict reads, the jury find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder as included in count 1. Signed by the foreperson of the jury. Ms. Murphy, is that your verdict? Oliver, is that your verdict? Ms. Foster, is that your verdict?
Yes.
And is that your verdict, man?
Yes,
Is that your verdict, man? Sir, is that your verdict? Man, is that your verdict? Man, is that your verdict? And, is that your verdict, man?
Yes.
Okay.
Shelby visibly collapses in the courtroom, crying out "Mama" as the reality of her conviction set in. And she's sentenced to 30 years in prison, 24 for the merged murder charges, plus an additional 6 for the other convictions, to be served consecutively. Shelby Isaac killed 2 people and an unborn child over a hair weave refund. But how does that one compare to attacking your own lawyer in open court? This is Taylor Shabiznis on trial for sexual assault, homicide, and corpse mutilation in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On February 23, 2022, Shabiznis strangled Shad Therian with a chain while they were having sexual intercourse in the basement of his mother's home. After he died, Shabiznis performed sexual acts on him before going on to dismember the corpse. 2 days later, Tara Pakanich, Therian's mom, came home to a shocking scene of her son's head in a bucket, while also finding other dismembered body parts and organs inside tote bags and boxes in the basement. Shabiznis was later seen the same day Therian's corpse was discovered, with blood tracks leading the police to her hideout.
Hey, is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here? Could possibly be blood. Hey, who did that? Hi, Taylor, how's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department.
When they arrested her, she had some bloodstains on her body.
Taylor, you have a warrant for your arrest. Just put your hands behind your back, please. Anybody else in your apartment? You got blood on your hands here, too. No, on your hands. Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to. What apartment is it? What apartment are you in? Do you have it? Adam, come up. You got some get up here. On the double. Which apartment? One is what they came back to.
During interrogation, Shabiznis admitted to strangling Therian and then engaging in disturbing actions, including mutilation after his death.
But when did you start, cutting up his body?
I don't know, like almost right away. I was stuck in and cutting at the same time.
Then what about the rest of his body parts? Did that take all day? Did you?
I was getting pissed off at the dismemberment process, actually.
Did it take a while? It took a while.
Yeah, because I was nodding out.
Shabiznis was charged with 3 offenses and with the aid of her first lawyer, Quinn Jolly. She entered a non-guilty plea on the premise of insanity.
Mr. Jolly, have you and your client received a copy of the information?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you asking that the information be read out formally in open court?
No, Your Honor, we waive the reading of the information. I've gone over it with my client. It does appear to mirror what is in the complaint. We enter not guilty pleas on all counts.
Okay, not guilty.
Shabiznis showed zero remorse, not a tear, nor a shred of guilt. Instead, she's seen laughing in court, like it's all some sick joke, almost like she was proud of it. Moments later, the unthinkable happens. Out of nowhere, Shabiznes snaps, and what she does next leaves the courtroom in a shock. Oh yeah, that happened. A full-blown attack in court, and on her very own lawyer. Absolute chaos. Due to that insane act, during the next court meeting, she was severely restrained and seen wearing a spit hood. Just before the sentencing, Shad's father, Michael Therian, stood up and asked the judge for a moment to speak.
Okay, if you could just, sir, before you start, if you just state your name for the record.
Michael Therian.
Okay, go ahead.
Taylor, I just wanted to say that I forgive you for what you done to my son. And, yeah, you made a bad choice, and now you have to live with it. But, you know, I'm gonna miss Shad. He was a wonderful child too. Growing up, just mild-mannered and just happy, and I know you made a bad choice, and like I said, I forgive you, and I'm gonna ask the judge if you can, you know, if she can see the streets again sometime, you know. It may not be soon, but I believe everybody makes bad choices, and maybe not to this scale, but I think there's a lot of hope for you. I think, you know, you can make use of your time and be a better person, and do great things yet, you know, so it does no good for me to hate you, you know. I know you got a heart, I know you got a mind, and I wish you no harm, and I hope things go well for you. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
But Judge Thomas Walsh didn't quite share the same sentiment. Instead, he had a hard-hitting message to pass on.
This crime offends human decency, it offends human dignity, and it offends the human community. It really does.
Shabiznes was eventually found guilty of all 3 counts, with the judge sentencing her.
It's the decision of this court and the judgment of the law that Ms. Shabiznes be sentenced as follows. As to in 22 CF 363, count 1, that's the first-degree intentional homicide as a repeater. It's a Class A felony. I'm going to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. I believe that's appropriate in light of the findings that I've already made. As far as count 2, mutilation of a corpse as a repeater, a Class F felony, I'm going to adopt the recommendation of the pre-sentence investigation writer, 7.5 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That'll be consecutive to count 1. As far as count 3, third-degree sexual assault as a repeater, Class G felony, I'm going to impose 3 years of initial confinement followed by 4 years of extended supervision. That will be consecutive to count 2 and count 1.
Methamphetamine contributed to Shabiznes' actions. The case shows how drugs push addicts to the brink of ruin. Now, Shabiznes attacked her very own lawyer. But does this compare to a wife joining her husband to murder someone? Like in the case of Jeremy and Christine Moody, on trial for joint murder, kidnapping, and firearm possession in Union County, South Carolina. On July 21, 2013, 30-year-old Jeremy and his wife, 36-year-old Christine, pull up to the residence of the Parkers with the aim of killing everyone in the house, as Charles Parker was a registered sex offender. When Charles came out of his house, this happened. Christine and Jeremy forced him back in and then shot him and his 51-year-old wife, Gretchen Parker. Their bodies are discovered the following day after a neighbor had called the police to inform them of a problem at the Parkers' house. The Moodys were later arrested when police recognized Jeremy's tattoo from the surveillance cameras. Now in court, they pleaded guilty to the charges against them.
You still want to plead guilty, or do you want me to set your case to trial? How do you wish to plead to these charges today? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
They also said they regretted what they had done and asked for a 30-year sentence to reunite and grow old together after serving their term.
Your Honor, not a day goes by that I don't regret things that happened. And I know that what I've done is a sin, and I believe that God has forgiven me of it. Please have mercy on Christine and I so we can still have a chance to grow old together as husband and wife.
The Bible clearly states thou shalt not kill. I'm sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I hope you will too. Your Honor, please see that Jeremy and I are sentenced to the same sentence of 30 years. Never kissing my husband or feeling his touch again is my very worst nightmare. Please give us a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
However, the couple didn't show real remorse, as they smiled affectionately at each other numerous times. The judge wasn't having this and sentenced the couple to life imprisonment without parole on 2 counts of murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, and firearm possession.
We killed these 2 people. They had no way to defend themselves or anything else. And I tell you that I believe that if these 2 were to get out of jail, I would be concerned that they would do exactly the same thing. I think it's a case that justice demands a life sentence.
However, it's what happens after the sentencing that goes on to confirm their lack of sincerity.
That's what child molesters get. Child molesters do not deserve to live. They got exactly what they deserve. Had to do it over again, I'd kill more.
I think Jeremy and I would have done it again if given the opportunity.
Do you have any regrets?
I have no regrets. Killing that pedophile was the best day of my life.
What about not being able to see Jeremy?
Jeremy and I have a love that will withstand this.
What about what you said in court about repenting? Is that not true then?
No, it's not true. My lawyer made me say it.
Do you have anything to say to the victim's family?
May they die also.
Looks like the couple swiftly changed their attitudes from asking for forgiveness to yelling profanities and saying they would do the same if they had another chance. Wow, Christine Moody unrepentantly killed the sex offender's family with her husband. But how does this one compare to cutting out an unborn baby from her mother? Like in the case of Dynell Lane, who's on trial for attempted murder, assault, and unlawful termination of pregnancy in Boulder County, Colorado. On March 18, 2015, Lane lured 26-year-old Michelle Wilkins to her home in Longmount under the pretense of selling baby clothes through a Craigslist ad. Once Michelle arrived, Lane attacked her in the basement with a lava lamp, strangled her, and used kitchen knives to cut her unborn baby from her womb.
She kept pushing me back until I landed on my back on the bed.
Okay, and tell the jury what you remember about what happened after that.
Well, first she grabbed a pillow and she was trying to smother me with the pillow.
Michelle was 7 months pregnant, and her baby, Aurora, died during that brutal attack. Lane then took the deceased fetus to the hospital, claiming to her husband and medical staff that she had suffered a miscarriage. Meanwhile, Michelle miraculously regains consciousness in Lane's basement and calls 911 herself.
911, address of your emergency. 1620, road please. 1620 what? Road please. I can't understand the street. Green please. Green place. Green like the color? Yeah. What's the phone number you're calling me from? 407-401. What's the phone number? Yeah, tell me what happened. Who cut you? Hold on. Hang on. Correct. Hold on.
Police arrested Lane at the hospital after doctors found inconsistencies in her story, and then investigators discovered that she had been faking a pregnancy for months, even telling friends and family she was due.
On March 18th of 2015, the defendant in this case, Dynell Lane, was desperate. For the year beforehand, she had been deceiving her friends, deceiving her family, into thinking that she was pregnant. She was obsessed with this pregnancy. He was going to have a baby boy. She was going to name that baby boy. On March 18th of 2015, she had to come up for the baby. She had been given an ultimatum, and her time was running out.
Lane was charged with multiple felonies, and during her trial, the prosecution had this to say.
Where she hit her over the head with a lava lamp. Remember lava lamps? Old enough to remember lava lamps? Hit her over the head with a lava lamp, which broke in its thick glass. She took a piece of the lava lamp and stabbed Michelle in the neck with it. And as blood was splurting from Michelle's neck, she choked her, pushed her down on the bed, held a pillow over her until she was unconscious, and then using 2 different knives, cut her abdomen, cut Aurora, the baby, out. Aurora by then was dead, and carried Aurora upstairs and laid her dead in the bathtub of room number 3.
Throughout the trial, Lane had no remorse, no tears, and no guilt, no acknowledgement of the devastating pain she had caused. She sat there stone-faced in court, completely detached from the horror she had inflicted. During victim impact statements, Michelle Wilkins courageously faced her attacker, describing the assault as calculated evil, and speaking of her daughter Aurora, who had no voice.
I did not learn until the trial just how many opportunities you had to do the right thing and then chose not to. You embraced your narcissistic fantasy to fulfill the lie you created, and it was more important than my right to live and Aurora's right to live. But I fervently hope that you use the rest of your time on this earth with meditation and prayer to help you come to terms with what you have done. It is your only chance for healing the hurt that you have caused.
The judge had her own powerful words for Lane, emphasizing the calculated nature of her crimes and the devastation she caused.
Ms. Lane planned this attack and left Ms. Wilkins to bleed out and die.
And then the sentencing was delivered.
Ms. Lane is to be sentenced to a sentence the court finds, having considered the mitigating circumstances and the aggravating circumstances, that totals 100 years in the Department of Corrections, to be followed by the mandatory periods of parole.
Lane was found guilty on all counts, sentenced to 100 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, Lane's fake pregnancy drove her to commit one of the most shocking crimes imaginable. How does attacking an innocent pregnant woman compare to murdering your own son by starvation? This is Shonda Vander Ark, on trial for first-degree child abuse and open murder in Muskegon, Michigan. Shonda had systematically tortured her 15-year-old son, Timothy, confining him to a mattress on the floor, starving him, and forcing him to consume lethal amounts of salt. On July 6, 2022, Timothy died from hypernatremia, salt poisoning, after days of prolonged abuse. Now, the Norton Shores PD received a call to assist with a medical emergency. So upon reaching the scene, officers encounter Shonda, who claimed Timothy had fallen in the bathroom. But ER responders immediately noticed the extensive bruising and signs of severe malnourishment. When police arrived, they discovered a horrific scene of neglect and abuse. Timothy's bedroom was essentially a prison cell, with bloodstains and evidence of prolonged confinement. During interrogation, Shonda initially denied everything, providing multiple conflicting stories about Timothy's condition.
Oh, I had no idea. I would have taken him in or something. Oh.
Now, you said the last time you saw him was 5:30 this morning? Did he say anything?
He had fallen out of bed.
At 5:30?
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't earlier?
I mean, it's possible. I thought it was 5:30, but I wasn't super awake. I heard a thump, and I came down, and he's kind of laying on his side, kind of like, what the heck? And I reached out, and I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Oh my God.
But the forensic evidence was undeniable. Handcuffs, salt containers with traces of vomit and DNA were found in Timothy's room. Shonda was arrested and charged with open murder and first-degree child abuse. This woman showed no remorse. You won't see a tear nor a shred of sympathy. Instead, she was seen laughing in the court during sentencing, like it was all some sick joke to her, almost like she was proud of what she'd done. Timothy's older brother, Paul Ferguson, testified against Shonda, telling the court how she forced him to torture Timothy and feed him bread soaked in hot sauce.
At some point in time, were you asked to start feeding him bread with hot sauce on it?
Yes.
And who asked you to do that?
Shonda.
Why were you giving him bread with hot sauce on it?
Because he was supposedly misbehaving.
And how would you, describe to the jury what you would do to do that and to make him eat the bread with hot sauce?
I would put it on bread, have him stand in the kitchen area near the back door and watch him eat until he finished.
And was he required to eat it until it was all gone?
Yes, sir.
He also described giving him ice baths in uncomfortable positions.
At some point in time, was there a form of discipline introduced that involved you placing Timothy in a cold tub?
Yes.
And what was the mechanism for that? How did you do that?
Clog the tub, plug it, turn on the water, and take the ice that was in our ice maker upstairs and put it in, and have him get in.
Initially, how long was he supposed to sit in the cold water?
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
When Shonda was shown the pictures of her son's body, this was her reaction.
This is hours before he dies, right?
Yes, sir.
You look like that when you put him in the bathtub?
I'm sorry.
Gotta make me a moment.
So gruesome was the sight, she couldn't take the horror, and she had to vomit in the courtroom. During victim impact statements, Timothy's extended family had this to say.
Timothy was so smart. He could take anything apart with any tools, or none at all. He had trouble focusing, but when he did, he was just as smart as the rest of his class. He made people angry, yes, but then he would look at you with those big baby blue eyes and you could never stay mad at him. I knew him his whole life. I held him the day he was born, and I continued to try to hold his hand as long as he was by my side, until he wasn't. I want the woman who killed my little brother to face the highest punishment possible. I want her detained for the rest of her life so she can't hurt anyone else. And I want the world to know that Timothy was wanted, if not by her, then by me.
But the judge, Matthew Casel, had the final word, delivering a scathing condemnation of Shonda's actions.
Quite frankly, there's a mother's love that I've seen that is striking, and anybody who's a parent who's married, most mothers, not all, but most mothers have such a strong love for their children. And to see what you did to your own child, I don't know if there's a word in the English language to describe how to describe it. I only can come up with just horrific.
Shonda was found guilty on all counts, with the judge sentencing her to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It's a sentence of the court. First says to count 2, child abuse in the first degree. Court sentences you 50 years to 100 years in prison. As to count 1, felony murder. It's a sentence of the court. You serve a term within the Michigan Department of Corrections for the rest of your natural life without parole.
Well, this case exposed the devastating failures of Michigan's child protection system. Timothy's death could have been prevented if authorities had acted on the 14 previous abuse reports. So Shonda tortured her own child to death with salt. But how does this compare to killing your own boyfriend? This is Camia Gammon, on trial for first-degree murder in Washtenaw County, Michigan. On April 17, 2013, Gamut brutally murdered Marcel Hill, her 38-year-old boyfriend, as he slept on the couch in their shared apartment. Using a floor lamp, frying pan, and a serrated knife, she delivered over 40 devastating blows to his head, neck, and upper body. Hours before his death, Hill had sent terrifying text messages to his mother saying,
"She's going crazy again. I'm scared to go to sleep."
He even predicted,
"She's gonna kill me one day."
Hill's grandmother found the mutilated body at 1:11 a.m. and called 911. When police arrived, the crime scene was a bloodbath. Blood spatter covered the walls, couch, and Gamut's clothing. The improvised weapons, all household objects, were scattered around Hill's lifeless body. During interrogation, Gamut was seen weeping profusely, and realizing her freedom's in jeopardy, she's asking for a lawyer.
I don't. But I need to understand this. Okay? I need you to be honest with me about what happened. Alright?
I want a lawyer. Please just take me to jail. Just take me. I don't want
Okay.
to.
Alright, just relax.
Her request for a lawyer ended the interrogation, and this was how Gamut reacted. In a fit of rage, she's attacking chairs and tables, weeping profusely, knowing she's in great trouble. It's pretty insane. Gamut was charged with first-degree murder, and with her defense team, she pled not guilty, claiming she acted out of self-defense.
Mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
Throughout the trial, Gamut showed absolutely no remorse. Her eyes were rolling during victim impact statements, smirking at grieving family members, and just laughed at the entire proceedings like some twisted entertainment. Her callous behavior reached a peak during sentencing, as Hill's family member delivered an emotional statement about their loss.
So remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
Gamut's cold indifference was on full display, and the prosecution had this to say.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die. I can't believe she stands before you doing this morning.
While Judge John McBain didn't hold back on Gamut, he unleashed a tirade of words on her. And this is what he had to say.
And you end up probably in some kind of domestic, ultimately hit him in the head so hard with a pan that you actually came in the front of his skull, and then you stabbed him no less than 12 times. You know what? I was the only one in the courtroom that knew what kind of knife that was. And it was a big old long fillet knife. Because I used to fillet pike and muskie and salmon. And I'll tell you, you gutted him like a fish in that apartment too. You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead. You didn't think he was an intruder. You know, maybe one stab wound, okay, maybe that's self-defense. But you put in 11 more to make sure he was good and dead. So I hope, I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair. You got 42 days to appeal my sentence. I think I've legally erred anyway.
Gamut's facial reactions to the words were like, dude, what's your deal? Why are you overreacting? But the jury found Gamut guilty of first-degree murder, and she's sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, this case would highlight the deadly reality of domestic violence, and that domestic violence can be fatal regardless of gender. Gamut's cold demeanor after killing her boyfriend was chilling, but how does that one compare to murdering your baby because of a getaway trip? This is Crystal Candelario, on trial for aggravated murder and child endangerment in Cleveland, Ohio. On June 8, 2023, Candelario left her 16-month-old daughter, Jalen, alone in a playpen, while she went on a 10-day vacation to Puerto Rico and Detroit. For over 230 hours, baby Jalen was left without food, water, or any supervision in the sweltering summer heat of their Cleveland home. On June 16, 2023, Candelario returned to find her daughter unresponsive. Jalen had died from starvation and severe dehydration. And then she called 911.
Okay, is there a single bus-word apartment? Please. What's your name? Crystal. Crystal. What's your last name, Crystal? Crystal Candelario. And what's the last name you just got? What's the last name?
When police arrived at the scene, they discovered the horrific conditions: an empty playpen, no food or water within reach, and a baby who had suffered alone for over a week. During the investigation, authorities discovered that Candelario had been posting photos of her vacation on social media while her daughter was dying at home. Now in court, Candelario's charged with aggravated murder, felonious assault, and child endangerment. She eventually pled guilty to the charges. The prosecution had this to say.
This is not the case at all. Her actions speak louder than words. She had the wherewithal to leave Cuyahoga County and drive to Detroit, to be not with one man, but with two, let alone leaving a child, her own flesh and blood, in a pack and play. And during the time that she has been locked up, she has been making plans for the future, talking to other folks at other jails, other prisons. She had a conversation, which I find more disturbing than not, but on November 26, 2023, instead of wrought with emotion, wrought with guilt, crying about the death of her child, she's talking with a friend about her trip to Puerto Rico and what a blast it was and how much the car cost. And they got a truck versus a car, even though it was more expensive. And they were concerned about the other woman that was on the trip because she liked to spend money, and they spent money on food. There was never a mention about her daughter in her phone calls. And in fact, on January 6th of 2024, she's talking to her mother, who she repeatedly talks to. And they talk about God is forgiving, God is this. You also have to take responsibility for your actions.
During sentencing, Candelario showed remorse, weeping silently in court. When allowed to speak, she said,
Sorry. Hay mucho dolor que tengo con respecto a la pérdida de mi bebé Yailin.
There's so much pain that I have in regards to the loss of my baby, Kayleen.
Estoy muy dolida por todo lo que pasó.
I'm extremely hurt about everything that happened.
No estoy tratando de justificar mis actos.
I am not trying to justify my actions.
Pero nadie sabe cuánto yo estaba sufriendo.
But nobody knew how much I was suffering.
Y por lo que estaba pasando.
And what I was going through.
Todos los días le pido perdón a Dios y a mi hija, Yailin.
Every day I ask forgiveness from God and from my daughter, Jaylene.
Crystal's parents were also at the court to ask for mercy on behalf of their daughter.
Señores, las enfermedades de salud mental no se reflejan en el rostro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the sickness, mental health illness is not reflected in someone's face.
But Judge Brendan Sheehan wasn't having it. He had his own powerful words for the mother who abandoned her child.
As a court, I have to remember Jalen, where you did not. Just as you didn't let Jalen out of her confinement until she died, so too, you should spend the rest of your life in a cell without freedom. The only difference will be that prison will at least feed you and give you liquids that you denied her.
And then Judge Sheehan delivers a crushing sentence that matches the severity of the crime.
Based on all these factors, based on all the things I've looked at, and I'm marking this as State's Exhibit 1 for the court order. On count 1, aggravated murder, I'm going to sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Candelario was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mental health problems may have contributed to her actions, but they could never justify abandoning a helpless child. Candelario's complete abandonment of her child really shocked the nation. But how does this compare to other cases of child torture? Like in the case of Julissa Thaler, who's on trial for first-degree premeditated murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. On May 20th, 2022, Thaler fatally shot her 6-year-old son Eli Hart at least 9 times with a 12-gauge shotgun in the back seat of her car. The murder came just weeks after she regained full custody of Eli, despite warnings from Child Protection Services and the boy's father about her mental instability. That morning, police officers stopped Thaler's damaged vehicle, which was missing a tire and running on its rim. When they looked inside, they found a horrific scene of blood, tissue, and shell casings throughout her car. Officers find Eli's body wrapped in a blanket in the trunk of the car, while Thaler gave inconsistent statements about going deer hunting. So during investigation, police uncovered Thaler's disturbing internet search history, including searches for how much blood is in a 6-year-old child and how to remove gunpowder residue. Thaler was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, and despite documented mental health issues, she entered a plea of not guilty without claiming insanity. Throughout the trial, Thaler showed absolutely zero remorse. And when the judge gave her an opportunity to speak, Thaler made a chilling remark that really disturbed everyone present.
Ms. Thaler, you have a right to speak this morning if you'd like. You don't have any obligation to speak, but if you'd like to choose to speak, now is the time to do it.
Yes, I would like to say something.
Go ahead.
I'm innocent. Fuck you all. You're gold. That's all you're on.
Ms. Thaler, I don't know that that's appropriate here.
Sorry I told you what somebody else. Fuck you all. You're garbage.
Thaler's cussing was pretty chilling. It even left her attorney cringing. Even when graphic autopsy photos of little Eli were shown in court, Thaler's expression never changed. Her blank stare remained constant, as if she's watching something completely unrelated to her own child's death. Before sentencing, Eli's father and stepmom stand up to give their powerful victim impact statements about losing their only child.
Watching Eli grow and become a young man and what he could have been and done in this world. We will never have those memories. No more hugs, no more snuggles. They were ripped from us. Straight from our souls. On May 20th, 2022 at about 11:30 p.m. when an officer knocked on our door and asked to come in, then asking Tori to have a seat.
But Judge Peter Cahill had his own hard-hitting words for the convicted mother who executed her own son.
What I can't imagine, nobody can imagine, is when the person that takes a child from the world is the one that brought that child But that is what the jury concluded he did, and I respect the jury's judgment, and I respect Minnesota's decision about what the appropriate consequence is. Nothing I do would bring justice to this situation. Nothing I do would relieve any of the pain that you caused by doing that. But what is, according to law, the just and fair sentence for what you did is what Mr. Allard said, and that is life in prison without the possibility.
Thaler was found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, with the judge sentencing her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This case exposes dangerous gaps in the custody system, where documented mental health warnings were ignored. Eli Hart's death shows us how institutional failures can have the most tragic consequences. Thaler's emotionless demeanor rivals other shocking Karen behaviors. But now how does her silent, cold calculation compare to killing two friends in a murder-suicide gone wrong? This is Mackenzie Sharilla, on trial for 2 counts of murder in Strongsville, Ohio. On July 31, 2022, Sharilla accelerated her Toyota Camry to 100 miles an hour and deliberately crashed into a brick wall, killing her boyfriend Dominic Russo and his friend Davian Flanagan instantly. The 17-year-old had been in a toxic relationship with Russo, sending threatening texts saying, "I'll make you sorry," before that deadly crash. Vehicle data revealed the shocking truth. Sharilla hit the gas pedal at 100% throttle with zero braking, turning her car into a weapon of mass destruction. When police arrived at the scene, they found Sharilla unconscious in the back seat with a fuzzy Prada slipper lodged on the gas pedal. But what happened next was truly disturbing. As officers arrested her, Sharilla's first concern wasn't about the 2 lives she'd just taken. It was about her bracelet.
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me.
Sharilla was charged with multiple counts of murder and felonious assault, entering a not guilty plea with claims of memory loss and amnesia. In court, she's claiming memory loss, sobbing through testimony, and denying all intent.
So family, I'm not in there. I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davian. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
The prosecution painted a chilling picture. An unremorseful teenager who used her vehicle as a murder weapon, taking 2 innocent lives in a fit of rage.
These are on Halloween of last year, so these would be post-crash, just before she was charged in November. The families of Dominic Russo and Davian Flanagan faced unimaginable loss. Davian's sister delivered her powerful statement to the court.
Hi, Your Honor. My name is Divine Flanagan. Davian was my older brother. The passing of Davian Markel Flanagan has been very difficult for me. We have gone through everything together since day one. Davian was a big brother to me and my younger sister, Delia. We all got adopted together in 2012. After Davian passed away, a lot of trauma and past pain has came into my life, causing it to be difficult to heal from this trauma event, or this traumatic event. Davian was not just a big brother to me, but a role model in many ways. He was the person I trusted the most because he made me feel safe. He taught me the importance of cherishing each moment and enjoying life. The memories we have are strong, but losing him has shown me the value of life. He has how God works in ways you can't understand, but is worth it in the end. I don't want this pain for anyone else. I don't want people to have to go through this. As an 8-year-old, I hate the fact that he has gone because someone decided to take his life. Now that Davian is gone, I feel stuck. I feel as if I can't move forward. I feel lost. He was the one who picked me up when I fell. He was my best friend and the only person that has stayed with me since I was born. I would like you to give Mackenzie the longest possible sentence. I've known her for about 3 years, and she's always taken the easy way out. She will be eligible for parole, while my brother will be gone forever.
But Judge Russo had her own message for the teenage killer.
By Mackenzie will ripple forever in time. It's literally changed history because it's ended 2 lives. 2 young men are dead. Their deaths were horrible, terrifying, and tragic. I will say again, if any reasonable person reviews Exhibit 802, there could be no doubt in your mind what happened to them. There can be no doubt of the absolute terror of the 2 people in that call. The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day.
Sherilla was found guilty on all counts, with the judge delivering a very nice sentence.
So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life.
Well, that shows us how toxic relationships and emotional instability can lead to some devastating consequences. 2 promising young lives were cut short by one person's inability to control their rage. Sherilla used her car as a weapon of murder. But how does that one compare to this couple's racist attacks? We're talking about Kayla Norton and Jose Torres on trial for aggravated assault, terroristic threats, and violation of Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. In July 2015, 26-year-old Torres and his partner, 25-year-old Norton, along with other Respect the Flag members, rode in pickup trucks around counties in Atlanta in protest to the state removing Confederate flags from various locations. During this movement in Douglasville, Torres and Norton disrupted a birthday party for an 8-year-old black child and threatened to kill guests with a loaded gun. The poor family had to call 911, and police came to shield them by forming a protective wall before the flag group just left.
Ron, so could y'all stay here? Yeah, I don't feel safe at all. I like this.
Because there is guns.
You all on the curb. I'm trying to record that, please.
I am. I got it.
Oh, yeah. You too. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Bye. Have a good day. Yeah, we see you too, baby. We see you too, baby. See, that's a threat. That's a threat. Stop that truck. That's a threat. That's a threat. Stop that truck. That's a threat. That's a threat. No, that's a threat. You stop that truck. That's a threat.
Following the attack, Torres and Norton, along with some other members of Respect the Flag, were indicted and charged. During the trial, Torres and Norton are now weeping and apologizing to the poor black family they just attacked.
I'm done. I know I was in the wrong. But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me.
Now, one of the victims, Aisha Bryant, said that she had forgiven him.
I forgive you. I forgive all of you. I'm not a mean-spirited person.
Judge William McLean said their actions on that day were dangerous.
I suppose a Confederate flag can be interpreted different ways in different contexts. But if you drive around town waving Confederate flags and using the N-word everywhere you go, then there's only one way to interpret that.
Jose and Norton were eventually sentenced to 20 and 15 years in jail, respectively, and were banished from Douglas County. The sentence has been divisive among the general populace, as some are in favor of the outcome, while others feel that it's too harsh since no gun was shot.